Recorded live from the unfinished loft project of Des's home just outside Brighton in Sussex, welcome to the 200 to £100,000 Challenge podcast. This is your no thrills, no BS and absolutely no get rich quick or passive income promises hub. Hosted by your man, Des Hamilton.
Hello, and a warm welcome to every one of you out there in pursuit of transformation and triumph. Once again, I'm Des Hamilton, and you are listening to the 200 to the £100,000 Challenge podcast. Here is where we unfold the raw, real story of turning the £200 I snaggled from the joint account into that life-changing £100,000. Not just that, we're building an e-commerce empire that will be the ticket to the fabled financial freedom for my wife and me. Welcome back to the second part of what will be our Ask Me Anything session. We'll do them periodically from time to time. I'm really enjoying it. I think the last time I did one of these, I did it all in one hit. But this time I've actually taken a break and did the first half last week, made a conscious effort to stop so I could revisit and then tackle the next half in one go as well. And I really enjoyed listening back, actually, because I find myself almost blacking out as I answer these because I want to answer them as truthfully as I can. And when I listen back to them, sometimes I'm surprised. One of the ones that did surprise me that I want to revisit is the what thing did I find rewarded me the most? And we'll get into that in a bit. I just want to cover off for any new starters or any new joiners, welcome. Let me tell you a little bit about me. So I'm Des. I'm 43 years old. I work full-time as a civil servant. I'm a married man with 4 children. And my wife Claire and I decided last year enough was enough. We were fed up with being broke in a system that was broke. Because it is broken. We have done everything that we were told to do. We have got the full-time education. We have got the university degrees. We have got the public sector jobs. My wife's a teacher. I'm a civil servant. We have got the pension that we've saved up for. We have got the mortgage and the kids. Why is it that we're not being given the things that society decided we should be able to get if we did the things that we did? Why is it, with the bills going through the roof with energy, fuel, food, water, petrol, why is it we are getting less and less disposable income every month despite doing the things we should be doing? It's ridiculous. It flipped in my head that no one's coming to save us. And I said this last week, that autumn statement would mean nothing for people like me and you. Oh, and guess what? It meant nothing. The tax cut wasn't a tax cut, despite the media telling us every day it was a tax cut. No, it wasn't. You can't take £200 out of our pocket, give us 20 quid back and say, there you go. Are you grateful? Come on. That's exactly what that was last week. Let's not pretend it was anything else. So what I've decided to do is take £200 from the joint account, as I said at the top of the show, and use as many means as I can to build an e-commerce empire to bring in multiple income streams to make a better life for me, my wife, our children, our family. And do it in a way where we can stand on our own 2 feet and say, we did this. The government didn't help us. We haven't taken any handouts. We've earned everything. The freedom that we've generated is ours. Isn't that empowering? Isn't that a lovely thing that you can also say about yourself? Because trust me, I am nothing special here. I'm not. I'm just a guy that took action with a mindset of determination and a knowledge that I knew that if I could do it, I could inspire other people to do it with me. And that's what I want from you. Truthfully, not just because I'm a saint and there's a halo above my head, which is actually a ring light that I got for 20 quid from Amazon. It's because I need you all to inspire me. It's not a selfless good deed what I'm doing here. And we're going to get into that as well as we answer some of these questions. Next year is gearing up to be a really big year for us. We've really put the building blocks in place in this first year. And the second year of this challenge is where things will start to come to fruition And even though the money hasn't come through yet, the signs are all there that it's becoming more and more probable. Let's talk about the mentor program that we've revamped, because this is going to be a big player in it. I've been running a mentor program since April last year, just for beginners, because that's what I am. And why would I train something advanced when I'm not advanced myself, So I'm training out the thing that I did. Beginner selling through retail and online arbitrage in Amazon FBA. Steve Brady, my business partner, and I, Steve, by the way, is a 6-year full-time seller and has done all of the things that I aspire to do. Steve and I, we run this course together. What we've decided to do is strip it all back, because when we found we were doing face-to-face training, what we were effectively doing was talking at you anyway. For these 2-hour sessions, a good 1 hour 45 of it was me talking. There was a 15-minute Q&A at the end or in between or wherever, but essentially it was just me talking. And we were tying people to a schedule, because I was saying, right, we either do it on a Tuesday night or a Sunday night, because that's when I was free. What we've decided to do is make it accessible for everyone. So we've decided to record it. But we know the value is in the face-to-face training. So what we promise to do, what we are dedicated to do, is give you the training in a way that you can digest it over time at your own time as a recording. And then we will host weekly Q&As specific to that session that you have sat, so we can answer any questions you may have as you're going through the learning. On top of that, that's just the beginner's one. We are going to offer out an advanced selling course as well, which will be more money. But if you know anything about Steve or I, we won't accept you spending more money without giving you the opportunity to earn an awful lot of that back through doing the things we're teaching you to do in Amazon FBA. Much more to come in the detail of that, but there'll be a beginner's course, which will be the same price as the last one was. It'll be £250. And then there will be an advanced course, which we haven't yet put the price on, where you will learn more advanced methods and we will give you more tools enabling you to do that. But we will give you the opportunity to earn that money back quicker. In addition, our sourcing masterclass, that's going to be added on, as well as other masterclasses like keeper reading, keeper analysis, keeper data, as well as more ebooks, as well as other things that we can offer out as Steve runs his own prep center. For example, this is all going to be under one central repository, one central website that will give you access to all of these things. But what's really important is that you still have access to me and Steve through these weekly Q&As, and anyone that buys a course will automatically go into our VIP Facebook group, which we've been running for months now, where we hold things as a higher priority. That's what our mentoring program is. I wanted to use this session as a way to just tell you what's going on. More details will come on my Instagram channel. And we're going to use my Instagram channel as a way to launch the course with a competition. More to come on that on the details, but if you're not following me on Instagram yet, get following me and we'll share more as we go. In other news, in particular, for me, more information can come on this when I'm able to share it, but I signed up today. Today's the 27th, the Monday. I signed up today to one-to-one mentoring with a very experienced millionaire seller. More detail will come on that, but I know I need to hold myself accountable even more than I currently am if I want to make this challenge work in Amazon as well as everything else that I'm doing. Okay, like I said, I want to revisit the question that we finished with last week, which was from Jamie. What's been the most rewarding thing since you started? I listened back to this question and I said the Facebook group, and it's exactly right. It is the Facebook group. But what I missed when I answered that was I didn't really cover the aspect of helping others, the aspect of inspiring others. Like I said to you, I started this, my very first TikTok was talking about creating a group of online money-maker newbies to inspire other online money-maker newbies. And I find it, quite frankly, overwhelming to think that I've got a group of 7,000 of you in a Facebook group littered with bona fide millionaires, CEOs of SellerAmp Buybot Pro. We've got people from The Hive. We've got people from Fast Track FBA, Get Unsuspended, Helium-10, they're all in our Facebook group. I'm just a guy from Brighton who's a year into being an Amazon seller. These people are in our group helping other people. And you look at the results that people have been getting. You look at the end of the month where people share their progress and say, look what I've done. People are going, I've got £1,000 day. I've got a £5,000 day. They're all crediting me. They're all saying, thanks, Des, for inspiring me. Listen, if I gave you the final push, that's great. But you did that. Every one of you that's achieved success in that Facebook group and shares it, you did that. Don't thank me, because all I did was bring us together. I'm not there day in, day out, sourcing, prepping, packing, reading data, getting refunds, losing stock, damaging stranded inventory. I'm not that person. You are. And I'm so proud. So when everyone says, thanks to Des, I've done X, Y, Z, I can't tell you what that does to inspire me to kick on. Hands down, the most rewarding part. Ask me again in a year when I've done everything that I said I'd do, when I see my kids more, when we're flying around the world, when I'm finishing the loft, where I'm wearing something else other than a Tesco t-shirt. But as it stands, helping other people, inspiring other people, watching other people do the things that I say to do and it actually working. It's incredible. This is a great question from Ben. What's the worst piece of advice you've heard or seen? Now, it's a tricky one, this, because I've got to caveat this to say any bad advice I got was given to me with good intentions. People reached out to me out of the blue. They saw my plight. They saw how skint I was. They saw how miserable I was one of the comments I got. And a lot of people wanted to help me. And a lot of people gone out of their way to do the thing that they think can help me. Now, naturally, there's a bit as well. Let's not kid ourselves. These are business people. As I was gaining more and more notoriety and more followers and a bigger community, of course, if you do get the best out of me, I will in turn promote you. I understand that. So I was always cautious of that as well. But I truly believe that people that reached out to help me did it with the right intentions. And it was very much a case of, you want to get rich, do this model. You want to get rich, do that. Private label's best for you. Wholesale's best for you. This element's best for you. In reality, no one can tell you what's best for you. The best people that I still worked with, the best people that I still gravitate to, and the people that I reach out to advice for, they word it differently. It sounds crazy. But anyone that says, I do this, you should do this, that's the end. I wouldn't say I dismiss it, but I certainly look at that a bit more cynically. When someone on the other hand can say, look, I'm doing this, it's working great, these are my results, I think this will help you, but if you don't want to do it, no bother at all. That's a difference there. But sort of being pressured into a path, a lot of people think that wholesale is going to be the best thing ever for them. Great, try it. Because it might be the thing that flicks with you. It might be the thing that actually triggers you to being the best person you can be. But nobody knows your inherent nature. Nobody knows what things you enjoy doing. Some people love prepping. They do. Why would you give up the thing that you love doing? Some people love admin. So carry on doing admin. I can flip this and say one of the best bits of advice I got was from Hayden Davidson when we met, who said to me, look, you just do what you want to do 80% of the time if it's generating money. Because if you enjoy podcasting or social media or mentoring more than you enjoy Amazon selling, then focus on that 80% of the time and do Amazon 20% of the time. But if you enjoy Amazon stuff more and the mentoring and everything else is ticking over nicely, then why not focus on Amazon 80% of the time and focus on the other stuff 20% of the time? What you want to do is dip your toes in all of the waters, find out what you actually enjoy. Because if you enjoy it, you're then inclined to do it more with self-motivation. You see the difference? You see what I'm saying? So when someone says to you, do this, this is the best way. Be mindful. It's up to you to decide what's the best way, because this is your business. This is your journey. This is your e-commerce entrepreneur empire. So do what's right for you and don't let anyone sway you down a path that you don't want to do. There's a reason why I train retail and online arbitrage. It's because it is essential to all of the Amazon selling models. If I go down another path and start touting another advanced method of selling, I can assure you it's only because I'm doing it myself and I believe it works. But don't let anyone force you into thinking that is the only way you want to do it. If you don't like picking up the phone and speaking to strangers, wholesale isn't for you. It's as simple as that, because no one's going to force you to enjoy that. Okay, from Chris, if you were starting over with £200 again, how much of that would you put into used books? Great question. And I'm really proud of this, actually, because the amount I put into used books, I'd do that again. I'm quite proud. I've put quite a bit into used books. And when you say quite a bit, this is the beauty of used books. 50 quid is a hell of a lot of used books. A hell of a lot of used books. So with my £200, I'll probably put about 20, 30 quid into used books. But down my local YMCA, it's 8 books for £1. You see what I mean? You go to the library, a hardback non-fiction is 50p. You go to a car boot sale, how much are these books, mate? £1. I'll take this one, and this one, and I'll call it £1. Deal? Yeah, all right. You see what I'm saying? Used books are the cheapest, lowest risk, lowest cost, easiest way of getting into Amazon, because you're paying out nothing. You're going through all of the same processes as you would do if you were doing retail ARB or online ARB. The only difference is that the sales will be an awful lot slower, because that tends to be how it works. But with used books, you've got 20 quid, mate. Just keep on feeding the machine. Pump them all in. Just send them all in like a conveyor belt. And then eventually they will sell. And when they do sell, the ROI is off the charts, because if you get a non-fiction used book that you bought from the library for 50p and that then sells for 20 quid, you'll probably get something like 12 quid back off of what was 50p. Now, I'm no scientist, but I reckon that's a 1,000,000% ROI. Used books are brilliant, especially if you're starting with a low budget. Couldn't recommend it enough. Okay, from Karen. Hi, Karen. I hope you're well. What are the key points along the journey? For example, when do you start using a fulfillment center? When do you find a VA? When do you move into bundles or wholesale? I realize it's individual, but I wonder what the tipping point for these and other scaling events were. I wonder what the tipping point for these and other scaling events were for you. Good question. Good question. You answered it yourself. I'm sure you guessed this was coming. It is all individual, based on what I've just said. Find what you enjoy, stick with it, try and make as much money out of it as you can, and then decide when's good for you. If you're finding certain tasks are becoming overburdensome, you will need to outsource them. So for me, if I just take Amazon as an entity in itself, it's difficult, you see, because so much of what my multi-income stream things are based around video editing. So the first thing I actually outsourced was my video editing. And I've got Jazz. Hi, Jazz. Jazz is going to be editing this very thing for YouTube on Sunday. That helps an awful lot. The other thing that helped for me, and this is where everyone's journey is different because it is individual. The other thing that helped for me was meeting Steve. So we go back to May when I first met Steve. And then when Steve and I started negotiating on how best we could help each other, I said to him, right, well, I'll need to use your prep center. And am I able to use your team of VAs? You know, it's that sort of thing that I knew could help me at that time. So it was at that time, all of a sudden, my prep was taken out of my hands and sourcing was done using VAs. It's an ever-changing beast, depending on what your priorities are at any given time. If we talk about what I'm doing currently, now I've got my agent, my management team. I've got my mentor now. Steve and I are putting big plans in place for 2024. What takes up most of my time is changing. What helps for me as well is that I've got Claire on board, who's going to be doing most of the Amazon selling, as she has done for the last 4 or 5 months. So it's a stock take of yourself. Call it monthly, Karen. Think about yourself. Think about where you're spending time. Think about where you're wasting time doing things where you think, I think someone else could do that. Think about how much money you're willing to spend on sending that out. And then think about what direction you want to go in as you grow. It really is how long's a piece of string. And I've got a feeling I've probably just complicated it more than it initially was. But it is really unique to what's going on with you and your journey and your cash flow and everything else at the time. Sorry, I can't be more specific. Okay, another one from Ben. What was the biggest learning curve within your time selling on e-commerce? Love this. The learning curve was internal. It was up there. I'd never run a business before. The podcast, I'd never run a podcast before. I'd never run an Amazon business before. I'd never run a Facebook group before. Of course, all of these things. But most of those are process-led. Everyone knows how to set up a Facebook group. The selling on Amazon, it's all process-based. You can learn how to do it. Even the podcast. You Google, how do I start a podcast? There is a fairly standard workflow and a couple of subscriptions that you can sign up to, and it's all taken out of your hands. It's really not that difficult. The learning comes with how you deal with your business, because actually running a business and coming to terms with being responsible for the money that comes in, it's a jump in the deep end. From my own personal point of view, it was about a month after I started deciding that I wanted to do this, that I had 4,000 followers on TikTok, people saying, when's your YouTube starting? When's your Facebook group starting? So this pressure I had on me all of a sudden to do multiple things at once. I had to grow up quick. I had to learn how best to implement habits that suit me and this circus of a lifestyle I live, how I could do that best, how I can make my own decisions. All of a sudden I'm making my own decisions because every job I've ever had, and if you're in the PAYE like I am, every decision you ever make is backed up by a decision-making framework somewhere higher up the chain. When you're running your own business, it is purely you deciding how this journey goes with a view to make money. Because if it goes wrong, it's on you. It's that decision that you made back then that led you down this path. And you will make them. And I did make them. But coming to terms with that and being okay with that and realizing that that was actually a path to grow, it benefits you more than anything, because this growth mindset becomes fixated inside you. And it's impossible to fail, because all of a sudden failure is a stepping stone to more growth. So if this Amazon thing falls down, I won't quit. I'll use that as a stepping stone to start again, knowing where I went wrong and which model I leapt into too soon, for example. There's enough information on every element that I do to give me fairly quick feedback about whether it's working or not. And that element of embracing failure, looking for it, because only in failure will you learn to get better. That was a big learning curve for me. Keeping records was something I was terrible with. Organisation, admin, something I've always been ropey with. Money is something I've always been ropey with. I can hand on heart say all of those elements I've been better at in the last year than I've ever been. And I'm in my 40s. So this, you're an old dog, you can't learn new tricks, it's a load of old tosh. If you want to get better, you will get better at everything, because you're responsible. It's your journey. It's your money-making machine. And it's on you to get better. That was my biggest learning curve. And I am still nowhere near where I need to be. From Keith, how many items did you sell on your best day? And also, how much in sales? Good shout, Keith. So how many items did I sell on my best day? I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. It was something like 35. It was this time last year, almost a year to the day, actually, this time last year. And those that have sat the mentoring program, they would have known this because I tell this story a lot. It was the Guylian seashell chocolates. But because it's Q4, it's Christmas, they were in like a snowman package. And they were in Lidl, in that weird little aisle, for £2.50 each. And they were selling on Amazon for about 13 quid. And when I scanned it, the sales data was shocking. But I went back over a year on the chart and I saw that the Christmas before, it's seasonal, obviously, it's a snowman for God's sake, but the data from the Christmas before was insane. So I bought 5 or 6 with a view to see what they would do. There were dozens and dozens on the shelf. I sent them in. They landed in probably the Coventry warehouse. If you're still striking, by the way, and you're listening to this and you work in the Coventry warehouse, solidarity, brothers, right? Solidarity, brothers and sisters. So I bought these seashells, 5 or 6 of them, sent them in. They went to Coventry. It then went through the fulfillment centre transfer. And before you know it, they all sold in about half hour. Ridiculous. I was the only one on the listing. So I had the buy box at $12.99. All of them sold instantly before they'd even landed. So they didn't even have a delivery date for the customers and they still bought. So I drove back down to Lidl and I bought 12. Then I drove to another Lidl, bought another 12. Then drove to a third Lidl, bought another 12. Yeah, it would have been 36 plus the 541. I sent them all in and they flew out. They flew out. It was insane. Couldn't find any more. And I'm looking now, it's the 27th of November. I went to Lidl today and they're not there. So the actual sales, it wasn't great because we're talking $12.99 a unit. But the profit was amazing because they were only $2.50. It's about £4 profit, if I remember right. Brilliant. From Greg, quick one this. Any tips on admin, accounts, and the boring bits? If you want to see the boring bits, I've just started being much, much more active on my Instagram. I want to build my Instagram up. I'm doing a lot of things, more to come on this, about what I'm doing to build my Instagram. But I share on my stories daily about my daily life. You get a much better insight into how I spend my day on my Instagram when it comes to the boring bits. If we take today, for example, I was out on the road by 7:15 because I start my day job at 7:30. Claire took all 4 kids in the car, dropped the 2 eldest at school. Now, Claire's actually stepmum to my 2 eldest, and their school is about a 35-minute drive. So the school run for us is an hour and 20, hour and 30 round trip. So Claire did that while I went to work. I then went to work. Claire came back with the other 2 youngest children that aren't school age yet. Carried on putting on the Christmas decks, looking after the baby. I come back from work. The neighbour pops round for a cup of tea. I come straight onto the laptop and I start preparing for this podcast. So I've got my questions up there and I put them in the order of the way I want to answer them. Meanwhile, Claire's taking care of the baby and the youngest. They've gone to bed. The 2 eldest have gone back to their mum. Claire's doing the Christmas decks. She's taking care of the baby. Oh, and at the same time, she's on the laptop doing the admin and the Amazon sourcing, data reading, purchasing for the day. I am now finishing this. At the time of speaking, it's 8 o'clock. I'll be finishing this about 9:30. I'll go back. We'll talk about what we're going to plan on doing tomorrow, and we go again. That's a fairly typical day. In the meantime, I've spoken to my agent. I've spoken to Steve. I've spoken to my mentor. And I've spoken to a couple of people that I like to talk to about Amazon stuff every day anyway. And when I say speak to them, it's mostly just voice notes. This is another way you know if I'm the scammer or not. If someone says to me, Des, you've DM'd me about this, this, and this, if I haven't voice noted you, it's probably a scam. I'm a voice note guy. Right, from Riley, what are your plans for the socials after the £200,000 to £100,000 challenge? Are you just continuing with growing the podcast and TikTok, or are you doing a new challenge? Looking forward to 2024. Thanks, Riley. Good to see you, by the way. Hope you're well. Right. This is a great question because I've been thinking about this these last couple of months. I've been so fixated on the actual challenge. I didn't actually think, what do I do once the challenge finishes? I've got a few ideas. Of what I would like to do. I'm not stopping the podcast. Definitely not. I love this. Going back to what I talked about before, carry on doing the things you enjoy. I love doing this. I'm going to carry on doing this and trying to make this the best podcast it can be. What I'd like to do is do a new £200,000 to £100,000 challenge, but not necessarily use me to do it. Maybe I'd like to sponsor someone else to do it. So I am going to carry on with the socials, the Goodbye Poor, Hello Rich, because what I can do as I go through is still share more of what I'm doing as I'm doing it, because £100,000, let's be honest, Riley, £100,000 isn't the goal. The long-term goal is to build the company and grow and grow and grow. I don't really want to be a millionaire. I would like to get to a place where we can earn more per month than I have done in a year. That would be amazing. Okay, from Chris, reflecting on your journey so far and looking to the future, have you identified a Mount Everest goal that you aspire to reach? What does it look like for you, and has it changed since you started? Great question. Great question. Okay, so what my Mount Everest goal is, and it's so stupid, it's a Disney World holiday. No expense spared. The best Disney holiday we can ever have. Staying on Animal Kingdom, looking out the window and seeing a giraffe walk past your window. That's stuff for the 4 kids and my wife and I. There are loads of little goals. There are loads of little things I want to do with the money. Of course, I want to quit my job. I want Claire to quit her job. We want the financial freedom. We want the time to do everything that we want to do. I want to finish the loft, this kitchen. We've got plans to extend on this. We've got plans to put more bedrooms on the house. There is so much that we want to do with the money. We want to pay off debt. We want to do loads of things. But if you were to say, at what point would you stand there and say, I think we've done it? It would probably be a Disney holiday. It probably would. It hasn't changed either. That's been the same goal forever. One day, my friend. One day. Another one from Chris. And if you know Chris tends to ask lots of good questions. Okay, despite complete clarity on your journey, you've now hit a stage where the trolls are coming out to play. Yes, I have. How do you maintain resilience and focus in the face of negativity? And what advice do you give others dealing with online criticism? Okay. If you'll indulge me for a minute, I've had jobs and I've had a past where the trolls have come out to play just because. Even growing up, playing football on a working class estate, if you can't take the hits, you won't be playing. It's as simple as that. And then the jobs I went into, cabin crew. You're basically telling drunk people what to do on an aeroplane. Especially on the airline that I worked for where the booze was free. Then I left cabin crew and I was a copper. My God, the abuse you get, you can imagine. But it gives you a thicker skin. It does. What you come to learn, especially in those jobs, is they're not talking to you, they're talking to your uniform. They're talking to who you represent, not you as a person. They don't know me. And it's no different with the trolls. They don't know who I am. They don't know what I represent, and they don't know what I do. Because I can guarantee you, everyone that said something negative to me has made an assumption based on a judgment they have that is some way along the line incorrect about me. So anyone that says you're selling out, I love that. I got called a sellout. Who am I selling out to, for God's sake? I'm selling out because I'm selling a mentoring course. They hadn't looked into... You're selling out because you run a mentoring course and you're too inexperienced to run a mentoring course. They hadn't looked at the fact that I run it with Steve Brady. All the things like that. Anyone that jumps on saying you're just another Amazon scammer, they obviously haven't looked at it to see how skint I actually am. There are comments out there that people present in a way that is an awful lot nicer and have a lot more merit in them. And I like to tackle those ones head on. Such as, you started with £200. Why is it you're selling a course for £250? And with that, I accept that. How could you not? I'd be a fool if I didn't see the obviousness in that. But I maintain, for the money that we charge, it is the best beginner's course out there. And people have told me, I still get messages most weeks, I paid this for a course over there, I learnt more with you than I have with them, and I spent a fraction of it. We are still the cheapest course for the best possible value. And ultimately, we still have to charge for our time. It's a month of our time, 250 quid is all right. But these are the sorts of comments that you can handle and you can converse with people because they're decent. The trolls that come out and they're just looking to have a bite, those are the ones that are incorrect in their assumptions. Some of them genuinely make me laugh. I think I put a post on TikTok about the bloke who called me Four Eyes. That really made me laugh. It's so simple. But yeah, that's what I think of that. Okay, has engaging with your community been a cornerstone for your success? How do you maintain genuine connections with your community, and what strategies do you employ to foster a sense of welcome within your audience? I love this. I love, first of all, that it's been drawn out because it's something we really strive to do. It's something that Steve, Claire and I, we work hard at doing. Social media is so toxic, and with every person that wishes you well, there's another two that are laughing and pointing at you when you fall down. I have gone out of my way to stop that from happening. When I built this group, I did it as the nice part of social media. We are ultimately people that are striving for a better life and are willing to put ourselves out of our comfort zone to do whatever it takes to bring in more money. Anyone that laughs at somebody that gets it wrong, or anyone that is cynical saying, you aren't doing that, you're scamming people, blah, 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 without basis, we kick them out. There's no room for horrible people. There isn't. We've run quite a strict policy. You don't get many chances to make a mistake because it's who you are as a person. If you've got the nerve to go onto our group and call someone out horribly for trying to do well. So I'd like to think a group our size, we are really proud of how we run the administration on that. Claire and Steve in particular, they got a WhatsApp chat group going and they're talking about certain issues in the group that they're trying to monitor. And this is one of the reasons why we don't allow DMs. We're never going to stop DMs, we know that. But people have been led down a wrong path using DMs, using multiple Facebook groups and ours. We've also had people sending quite inappropriate, horrible things in messages, which we've had to get rid of. But I think because we've policed the group well, it's fostered a confidence that people have in asking for questions, in being vulnerable. On top of that, I genuinely wanted to create this group to provide inspiration. So when they come, I'm so grateful, and it's the least I can do to say thank you for being here. Thank you for doing it, whatever you want to do to change your life, and trusting us to be the mechanism to do it. Here are the ways that you can do it using the Facebook page, and here's the direction we go down. Here's the free information. Here's the information for a little bit of money. Here's the information for a lot of money. No pressure. Do whatever's best for you. Ask questions. And what it's done is, like I said at the top of the show, it's attracted this crowd of very successful people that are willing to help people like us. And it is amazing to see, especially in this day and age where it's even more cynical than ever after post-Brexit, post-COVID, where it seems that people are an awful lot braver on their keyboard when they're talking on Facebook than they've ever been before. TikTok's one thing, I can handle it. But when you come into Facebook, into our actual community, I think it's something that should be protected. And I think it's something that should be managed to make sure people are safe. Because let's face it, I know that I appeal to an audience that's older than most newbie Amazon sellers. If you are in your 20s and you're in the Facebook group, I love it. I love it. And it's not that I don't want you there. I promise you I don't. But let's face it, I'm a 40-year-old working dad of 4. I'm telling my story to other people that are likely to be parents working full-time or time-strapped for whatever reason. Doesn't have to be kids. However, a lot of these people are older where they are then putting e-commerce out there for the first time. And we've got to do everything we can to help these people because there's a way to making money that is untapped for generations like mine and above until now. And if I can have some say in helping those people break a wall that they wouldn't have considered, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it's safe for them. Okay, from Russ, what non-FBA thing has helped the most with the FBA thing? I love this question, and it's brilliant as well because Russ is talking about mindset and like business stuff that I talked about earlier as well. But this was a good opportunity for me to talk about networking. Because if you say what non-FBA thing has helped me the most, it has been networking. And this is where I talk about the community helping me. I created this community with a view to help people, but off the back of it as well, I knew that I was creating a community where I could network with all of you being the group's creator. It wasn't a money thing. It was a thing where I knew, right, here are these people that I am accountable to. I don't know them, but if I can help them, it then helps me. In addition to that, it has opened the door to people that are really, really successful that wouldn't normally look at a person like me that's only been selling a year with a view to help me as much as they have. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. But of course, you can't help everybody. And these people are so busy. But when I've got the ability to walk into a room or a virtual room with these people and say, hi, I'm Des. I've got 70,000 followers and I've only been selling on Amazon for a year. Can you help me? That puts me in a better light for experienced people to help. because I've now got something that can help them. And that's what networking's about. Yes, you can pick up a phone to a stranger and you can plead your case. And if you've got the gift of the gab, or if you've got a story that's worth telling, you never know. People might just say, yes, let's get you on board and we'll take you to the moon. God knows it's happened to me. There's people that Steve and I have helped that have stood out because of their drive and because of their story, that we've gone out of our way to help, probably more than the next person. So networking, that's all I can say. Talk to whoever it is, forge friendships, find out from people what they're doing and see if you think, you know what, that's a bit of me as well. And then get going. Okay, down to the last two. From Mark, what has been the least rewarding bit? Like it, and on a positive. Okay, the hours, the double life that I'm living. It's hard. It's hard. The down days that I get, it all comes back to this. Here I am, 8 o'clock, in the kitchen while my wife's in there with my daughter. And this would be the time that we would sit together, have a cup of tea, have a chat about our day, right? But sometimes we're passing ships. I also work a day job, and I am so determined to not let my day job down. I'm so determined not to give anyone an excuse to say, Des isn't doing this, it's because he's doing this. When I'm at my day job, I focus on my day job. I prioritise it. But then when I come home and I prioritise this, it's exhausting. I am always busy. I know it's going to end. The busyness won't end, but this aspect of a double life will. Because I enjoy doing this stuff and I've got no problem doing this, and I love the idea of being able to do this all day, every day. But when I'm being pulled from pillars to posts from people that genuinely have got the right to expect me to be there for them, I get tired. It's as simple as that. And it's sort of then it follows through then that I'm unable to prioritise my health because I'm not eating healthily. I grab a snack. You look at a picture of me when I first started in the picture now. I put on weight because of bad choices in food, because I haven't got the time anymore. Again, when I quit the job, I'll be going to the gym more. All of these things have got a finite life. I know there's light at the end of the tunnel, but the graft to get to where you got to get to is hard. Okay, and finally from Jamie, which part have you found the hardest to come to terms with? Blimey, we are ending on a high, aren't we? It's still my imposter syndrome. I mean, I started talking about it with you all about 2 months ago, and I still fight it every day because it leads to procrastination. If you take this weekend, for example, we put the Christmas decks up, went and got the tree, had the Christmas decks, all 4 kids. Carnage, absolute carnage. So we got very little done. And then today, on Monday, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I don't know if I've got the energy to do it. And I'm looking at this to-do list, and it's a mile long. And you're chipping and chipping and chipping away, and it feels like you're getting nowhere. And then you're thinking, oh, maybe I should knock that bit on the head. Maybe I should stop dabbling in all of these different things. It's such an easy thing to do. And I genuinely felt it today. And I know it's wrong because I'm aware now of what the imposter syndrome is. And here I am at 8 o'clock recording the podcast when it would have been the easiest thing in the world to go, no, it's not coming out until Thursday. I can wait. But no, here I am on the last question and I finished it. And I'll probably do an hour's worth of editing on it, which is more than I needed to do. But it makes tomorrow easier because I can get on with some of the other stuff in my lunch break and after my day job. So I'm still coming to terms with it. And I don't think I'll ever stop, especially as I get close to quitting. I should imagine, and I don't want to preempt this because when you preempt it, eventually you make it happen, right? I don't want to do that. But I should imagine when I do eventually quit the job, it's going to take a while to actually come to terms with it. But I'm all right with that. Oh, what a terrible problem to have. Right, that will do. Let's end it there. Thanks, everyone. Really, really good questions. We'll do one again in the new year. All right, that's part 2 of the Ask Me Anything. It's looking like this one's going to be significantly longer than last week's, but what can you do? I tend to ramble. Let's quickly move on to the tip of the week. When you're having your down times and when you don't feel like doing anything, just get on and carry on acting. It's the action that will make things happen. Sitting back, procrastinating, procrastinating does you no good. It doesn't make it any less appealing, but make sure you just do something. Perfection is the enemy of small gains. Let's never forget that. So even if you say, I'm not going to do 5 tasks like I plan to do, I'm just going to do 2 of them, and I'll do 2 of the easy ones. You still did something. And those tiny, tiny steps will lead you somewhere. Think of it as a road. We're down in Brighton. Let's think that I'm driving up to Edinburgh. I don't know the route. All I'm going to do is plug it into my phone that will tell me the road that I'm on, and I'll take that road, and I'll take it a mile at a time. A mile at a time, and it'll take me hours, but I'll get there. It's no different. Just because you can't see where you're going, don't stop trying to get there. Because in every little step, every little gain, you are manifesting your future. You are bringing it to you. And trust me on this, you really are. I can be the person that you look at and say, see, he did it. When I really can't be bothered to. Woo. Okay, everybody, that's the show. We're going to get back into the interviews next week. I'm going to get working this week and lining them all up. So I haven't got the ability to go. Next week, we've got John. We might not have John. I don't know yet. Let's figure it out and let's see who's available. Either way, I promise you, they'll be banging. That will do. Right then, make sure you tell everyone if you like. If you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure you tell people about it. It's word of mouth that gets the business round. We're going up higher and higher and higher. And the stats are looking great. So don't stop doing what you're doing. Tell a friend, tell their friend, tell their friend. Tell John that he's due to come on the show next week. Do the like, do the notification, hit the subscribe button, whatever it is that you're doing. Please keep this going because I love it. And I've got the ability, and I think we've got the ability to make this really something special. Okay, enough rambling. Music, please. Robin, please. See you next week. Take care of yourselves. Ta-da.
Be sure to join us next time for another dose of inspiration and insights into e-commerce and entrepreneurship. And who knows, by then, Des may well have finished that love project. And always remember, it's time to say goodbye, Paul. Hello, Rich. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. We know times are tough right now. And if you are struggling financially, please seek help from an appropriate organisation. We've included a link to the Citizens Advice Bureau in the show notes. Remember, you should always consult with a qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions.